Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. I've always maintained that the one thing the SNP cannot afford to have is the truth being laid bare to the people. The truth damages the SNP so very badly. And we're going to have a look at an article here. Let's just say that if the truth were known, then the SNP would literally be finished. It is only false information, misinformation, downright lies, or the covering up of the truth that gives the SNP any hope at all for independence. Once the truth is revealed, their support falls away so fantastically fast. I mean, literally, it tumbles down like a landslide. It is an immense drop once people know the truth. But when you see the lies that they believe, you can understand why there are so many people in Scotland who think independence is a good idea. And that is why, of course, the SNP deal and peddle in lies and falsehoods. They dared reveal the truth. Let's have a look. So independent support is based on the nationalist false grievance as the success of SNP misinformation is laid bare. They lie to the people. They continually lie to the people, and they tell people that the lies they are telling is the truth. And these very ill-educated, low-intelligent people, which is why, of course, the SNP are totally destroying education in Scotland. They need stupid people. Intelligent people would question the facts as they're laid out and say they aren't facts, they're ficts, because they're works of fiction. But once they're presented, once people are shown and told the absolute truth, the startling change that occurs must very, very deeply worry the SNP. If you truly want to convince people not to vote for the SNP, convince them of the truth, the real truth, not the lies the SNP are telling. A survey by these islands also suggested support for Skexit would plummet to below 30% if people knew there would be less money to spend on public services. Again, the lies that these people tell, they have to lie. They have to lie. Their only reason for existence is on the back of lie after lie after lie. And they lie to their own supporters. And their own supporters are too stupid to question it and go, yeah, look, Hamza Yousaf's telling the truth. Oh, no, he isn't. The traitorous turd is a liar as much as any of the others. He lies about his own successes. We've got a story coming up where he's going to be failing later. Keep an eye out for that one. But it's just astounding. Anyway, look, the worrying impact of misinformation from Scottish nationalists has been laid bare, with new polling suggesting almost half of Scots believe the country contributes more to the UK than it receives. And let me tell you, that is not the case. A study by these islands think tank suggests 47% of Scots agree with the statement. Scotland sends more to Westminster than it gets back in public funding. 47% of people believe that because the SNP keeps pushing this mantra of lies. That is compared with just 32% who disagreed. It means almost 60% back the statement once the don't knows are removed. The figure rises to 76% of SNP voters. So there you go. Over 3/4 of people in the SNP who support the SNP are wrong. It is astounding, isn't it? These islands brand this a false grievance. The pro-union group said the statement would only be true if money Scotland receives in reserved spending didn't count. But it does, because they do get it. The myth could have a massive impact on any future independence referendum, with support for leaving the UK plummeting from 40% to just 27% if there was a prospect of lower public spending in independent Scotland, which there would be because the whole economy would shrink horrendously. A paper published by the group suggests there can be no doubt that this misunderstanding is both endemic amongst the independent supporters, and yet they consider it highly significant to justifying their constitutional view. They really believe that Scotland puts more into the Union than it takes out. And that is not the case. That is most definitely not the case. It adds, the problem for Scottish nationalists is that this belief simply isn't true. The problem for supporters of the Union is that this belief is so wildly held that 47% of the electorate believing it to be true, just 32% who recognise it as false. These islands say that using the JERS figures, it is not difficult to show that Scotland gets more back in public spending than it sends to Westminster. The report adds, this is not a debate about alternative timelines, possible future scenarios, or what an independent Scotland might choose to do differently. It is a statement of fact about the fiscal reality under the current constitutional agreements. Put simply, they say, the UK's system of pooling and sharing allows Scotland to benefit from higher public spending than its current levels of taxation could otherwise sustain. In other words, Scotland benefits massively by being part of the Union. If it was to go independent, it would lose so much funding. The Barnett formula would go. You've got to think all those jobs, for example, in Cumbernauld, there you go, thousands of jobs there, paid for by Westminster, thousands of jobs, and they get taxed in Scotland. But those jobs would go. So you're losing all that income and therefore all that tax. There's so many jobs that rely on the Westminster government in Scotland, and they would all go, and with them that tax base. You'd have to fork out more in unemployment. You've got a smaller income. You'd lose the Barnett formula, so you lose that higher spending per capita in Scotland than in England. And these morons still think that independence is good. Quickest way to bankrupt the country? Independence. It says those who question the JERS figure do not deserve to be taken seriously, adding these JERS figures show that over the recent decades, Scotland has benefited from being part of the UK's model of fiscal pooling and sharing. Money spent on public services for Scotland is significantly higher than the revenues raised in Scotland. This should not be a controversial observation. No, because what it is fact. And we know from long that the SNP cannot abide facts. They deal only in lies. Facts destroy everything they ever say. They literally lie about everything. There is never, ever any truth to anything any of them ever say. That's what they are. They are liars, continually lying. Never believe a word, because the truth damages them so very much. Anyway, decisions around reserve spending may take place in Westminster, but no one can reasonably suggest that Scotland doesn't get back the reserved spending that takes place in Scotland, or that Scotland doesn't get value from sharing parts of the UK's machinery of state. Of course not. Scotland doesn't have to go to all the problems of having to find and open up and start up a whole new passport system, requiring thousands of people to be paid on the state tax, on the state, wage bill, for example. All the other things that it benefits from that it doesn't have to pay for itself. Imagine independent Scotland tomorrow. Obviously, setting up your passport office. You've got to set up your foreign office, your home office, this, all these things currently run out of London on London's buck. All of a sudden, bang, you've got to start paying for it yourself. It means you're employing more people on the state, which are fewer people bringing money into the system, and more people taking money out of the system. It's madness. It's absolute madness. Anyway, the survey also suggested support for Skexit would drop to 31% if people thought they would need to pay more in taxes. More on that story later. But they absolutely would need to pay more in taxes. And in fact, it would get even worse, because the only way Scotland as an independent country would work is if they put the taxes up. As soon as they put the taxes up, those who can move their capital and come running south to England and take their money and therefore their income with them. And that way, Scotland is even more in the shit, which means even higher taxes, which encourages even more people to leave. This is the trouble when you've got morons in charge who've never even heard of the Laffer curve. Any old ho, poor old Scotland. The only thing you can take comfort in, and it is absolutely true, is it will never happen. You'll never, ever worry about an independent Scotland run by a Marxist single-party state, clamping down on everything, much as they'd love to. But you've got to work hard at it. If you want to keep a democracy alive in Scotland, stop voting for the SNP. And you SNP supporters, please stop believing the lies you're being told. You're being gaslit. You're being brainwashed. And it is all bullshit. No matter what you think. And you're going to sit there going, no, that man, look at moan at me. Go and check it out. The facts are there. Open your eyes and with it your mind and stop following these lying liars. I'm coming up. Lies built on a foundation of lies with a side order of lies. That's the order of the day for the SNP. They can never tell the truth. The truth would truly destroy them. And that is why they lie to everyone. But what's truly sad is that all these SNP supporters believe the lies. That's why, of course, the SNP are trying to destroy the education system. If you had a population that was clever enough to see through their tissue of lies, nobody would vote for them. Why would you? Why would you do that? Unless you're a moron. Stop being stupid. Stop voting for the SNP. Come the next election, tactical voting, vote them out. Doesn't matter who gets in. I mean, whoever gets in is going to be bad. We all know politicians are all awful people. But at least whoever does get in, if they're not the SNP, they won't be single-mindedly obsessed about independence. And who knows, they might even get one or two things right. That'd be nice. Make a change. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do keep up. There is a lot more to go. We've got tons of videos today. And I will speak to you later. Bye.